that is what's really
Good morning. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Is there anyone new here today? Yes, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning everyone. Tom Zolkowski. I'm from Wisconsin and recently retired. I got 2 kids that just moved out here. I got a son who's an entrepreneur out here, and my daughter's going to be going to see Boulder here shortly. So really enjoy the area.
Super. Welcome.
I'm just visiting.
Yes,
Tom Raisler, I'm Zolkowski's grandfather, and I'm a retired product developer.
Great. Well, welcome here. Anyone else new? Oh, okay. I'm Jim Sears, myself and Ian Kulyasha and Susan Kelly are the organizers here. We always thank Galvanize for this awesome space and KO Law Firm for the awesome coffee. Today, Drew Parsman and Sports Steak. Looking forward to it. So, in your presentation today, Drew, so what's the design of the presentation? Who would be the audience for this?
basically to give kind of a whole summary of the company and get any feedback. Just all types of feedback from the perspective of public.
Okay, so
show
There are many facets of the public.
yeah,
So the
so
public want to do something with this. What do you want me to do at the end of this pitch?
like from the perspective of potential user, non-user, and then or investor, lawyer, whoever you are. If you're not a sports person, does that make sense? Just any feedback.
So we're going to look at it from a certain perspective, and you want us to look at it from...
Just do it from your perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, just like if you're seeing this pitch as a, whether you're an investor in it or if you're a user.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's kind of your ask.
Yeah, it's just like from your perspective. Like, don't try to be an investor, don't try to be somebody you're not. It's like people.
So is this a product concept presentation? We're supposed to evaluate the product concept?
It's a whole
Nobody
story.
can pitch everybody.
That's, I guess that's what I'm going for. Is it's just like an out there pitch of putting kind of the problem solution, what it is,
Okay.
how we're going, where we're at. Yeah, just the whole concept.
Okay, so we're just going to dig into this a little bit more. So what do you need most as a company?
Just feedback.
So,
Feedback.
let's phrase this differently. What are you hoping to learn when you leave this room?
I'm hoping to learn your perspective on this company from who you are.
Okay.
All right,
Fine.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
Kind of like, so, yeah. Appreciate it. Rough start.
It'll be better, don't worry. What? You act like I'm lying. Just don't point your finger at him when you raise his hand.
One question, no question. All right, so thank you guys for being here. My name is Drew Pasma, and make sure you get any paper you want to write any extra feedback. And without further ado, this is Sports Tape. Before I start, I would like to ask if anyone consistently watches or plays sports, please raise your hand. Awesome. And then is there anyone that could honestly care less about sports? Please raise your hand. Good to hear. Well, a little known facts. One known fact is that millions of people love to watch and play sports. It's just kind of how it is. But what's better than watching and playing sports is talking about sports. And there's a great vibe being in that sports bar conversation. And in fact, there's a handful of people in the sports industry that make their living off talking about sports. For example, Pardon the Interruption on ESPN is 2 guys. They talk sports for 30 minutes and they get 500,000 daily viewers. Colin Cowherd is a host on The Herd by Fox Sports. It's just him basically talking to himself for 3 hours about sports, and he got 10 million podcast listens in the month of June. But what about you and me? What if I want to talk sports? Well, luckily, there's the internet. But unfortunately, for the 647 million websites, none of them are perfect for sports conversation. Twitter used to be great, but then they decided to go unchronological, so when I post about sports, it gets shoved to the bottom. Plus, half my following doesn't care about sports like the people that raise their hands, so I would just be annoying them. And don't even get me started with the clutter on that network. So then, as time went on, sports conversation went to group chats and texting. And this was just a huge bummer because I was used to tweeting about sports in a public manner, and now I'm spending all this time talking to one or two people. It was a mess, to say the least. And then I would try to add people from it, but it got awkward with having people that didn't know each other in the group chat. It was all unorganized, and you would get a million texts for the same message about just people talking about sports. It got annoying, is what I'm saying. And so then, with ESPN, Bleacher Report, Barstool Sports, massive sports media companies, their focus is on sports, the schedule, the scores, the news, and just overall entertainment. Their focus isn't on actual sports consumer conversation. So I was living this problem for the past 4 years. I saw my friends were living this problem, and I overall saw the whole world was living this problem. If you have multiple networks of friends that like sports, then you would be in this problem. And those networks of friends are indicated by the logos of teams or universities. So I entered my senior year of college, and I decided to do something about it. I created Sports Take. It's a social media for sports consumers. Pretty easy. What you do is sign up, and then you'll add players, which are users. Same way you would add them on Twitter or on Instagram. If you're not familiar with Twitter and Instagram, how it works is you sign up, and then you personally get to add your friends. So I would add my friends from Arizona, from Denver, from Michigan, and from CU. Then when I have them added in there, I'm able to have the Sports Take feed. So in that feed, you're able to have the takes, which you would usually get from the iMessage or the Twitters. And then we implement the scores in that same feed. So you're able to see the news, you're able to see the breaking scores of the World Cup, LeBron James going to the Lakers. Then when it all comes together, like LeBron James buzzer beater,
8 seconds left, Cleveland triggers in. James, 2 seconds, 1 second to the win.
all that sports conversation is one platform. No more going to a bunch of text threads, no more sorting through a cluttered Twitter. All your friends are right there. It brings that sports bar conversation online. We did a beta test this past 4 months that we recently ended, and we got 150 downloads. We wanted to cap it there. We were getting 30 to 40 daily active users. I don't know what you guys do every day, but not many things. But there was a core group of people using this application every day. And we learned a lot. We learned that people love the Sports Take community. People love to post about a subject they're passionate to other people that are passionate about it. We saw that people like to share their opinions. We saw that it was easy to run the network when there was mainstream sports going on, like the NBA Finals, March Madness, FIFA. And then it was tough to run the network when there wasn't mainstream sports going on. And so these were some of the positive feedback we got at the end of the beta test. I'll let you guys read that for a second. So going forward, our competition from the past is called a company called FanCred. They got $5 million in investments, and they sold in 2016 to Football Nation for an undisclosed amount. Where Sports Take differs is our vision is a lot larger for the sports consumer audience. FanCred was just going at fans. Sports Take is going at the whole sports consumer industry, including athletes, analysts, and then sports consumers that maybe think they're too elite to be a fan. So the going into the market archetype is we want people that are comfortable with social media and that are active with sports. So Facebook got 1.5 billion daily active users, which is impressive in itself. Respect to that. And every sports team has a Facebook page that you can like. And we combined the NFL, NBA, and Champions League teams and got 800 million likes total. For example, the Los Angeles Lakers for the NBA, they have 21 million likes on their Facebook page, and Real Madrid from Champions League has 110 million likes. So that's obviously a very large number, and so we decided that maybe people are liking multiple teams, or they could maybe not like the page but not use social media, so we decided to make a rough estimate of 100 million users worldwide. Or go-to-market is when you post a take, it can also link to Twitter, iMessage, Facebook, like a technology implementation there. And then also word of mouth with you wanting people to see your stuff so you get them on the network. How we'll make money is with merchandise to start, then advertisements and subscription model. First, with merchandise is a massive revenue stream for YouTubers. And Casey Neistat has 10 million subscribers on YouTube. We got 800,000 items shipped of merchandise in the first year, which was an estimated $12 million profit. When we see people getting invested in the Sports Take brand, we would like 10% of them to come buy merchandise over time. Then going forward, once we get that user base, we would go straight to the big leagues for advertisements, because we basically give them free marketing. When people post about their games, more people watch them. And then subscriptions going forward. Ideas we got from the beta that people could pay for is no advertisements on the network. You be able to promote your tape just like people promote their tweet, and then highlight videos, because I guess SportsCenter doesn't do that anymore. And there's one more interesting revenue stream going forward, but we can talk about this another day. Our current team is myself as the manager. I have a background in entrepreneurship and honors in systems engineering. My role is to manage, execute, implement systems, and then do whatever else is needed. I got some help from Mark Washburn, who has a background in social media marketing and sports broadcasting. He's a positive personality on the network, enforcing that user engagement and helping with the admin, posting those scores and schedules. I'm currently missing developer talent. I was working with people in the past, but people moved on to other jobs or our visions didn't align. And so I would look for any connections you guys have about people I can meet with, possibly just ask them about it. Last thing I'll leave you with is we live in a world of social media where it's a lot of fun to post to a broad audience. But unfortunately for the platforms, sports conversation is back to texting, just like the dark ages. So that's what we're here to solve. And my ask is, like I said, for any technology app connections for me to meet with. And I'd love to hear any of your feedback. Please eliminate one person, comment or question per person, and then any other thing you don't have, please write it on the paper.
All right. Thank you for starting. Nice job. Presentation was awesome.
Thank you.
So, ground rules, let us know who you are as you ask questions.
I don't.
No, that's this room's ground rules,
Gotcha.
not for you, but thank you. Really, guys?
I'll ask the question.
Here we go.
Hi, I'm Kelly and I'm with Mind Oasis. We're actually an online meditation community. So what you're doing is interesting to me because while your users are sports enthusiasts, our users are meditation enthusiasts. And so I'm curious about your actual platform. If you're missing your developer, how are you implementing? And I always like to start with a positive thing because I've been on the hot seat and I really enjoyed your presentation and I think that your enthusiasm really comes through.
Thank you. So the people I was working with in the past gave me a good base application to work with, which is what we're using for our beta. So I'm basically using that and then not adding any features or development enhancements to it because I don't know how.
Yeah.
And right now I'm building a prototype for that next version that would be the public version, and it would be a whole separate app.
And it's custom, so you started from scratch.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else? Shoot.
I love this. I spent my summer watching my friend's son play basketball on Facebook. You know, they go live and the mom's like, you scored. You know, so I think just from us, I think that would be great for your organic growth. The question is, are you at MVP or how far are you from MVP? Do you need those developers to get there?
Yes, we are at MVP. Like I said, we have the people I was working with in the past basically gave me an MVP when they moved on. And then now I'm looking for that public version. And we'll still use that MVP in the background while we're building that public version, which goes live August 24th, if anyone wants to join. And so, does that answer the question?
Yeah, so you do have developers.
Well, no, I haven't yet. I don't have
You
the
have the
developers.
app developers.
So I'm just using the same app and just growing the
Right.
Yeah.
Rick Brennan, I'm local. You didn't, these types of applications, they need to reach critical mass before they really start to be valuable. And you didn't talk a lot about how you're going to reach critical mass. It's unlikely to reach it just by throwing that out there. Can you talk a little bit about whether you're going to partner with specific universities or sports teams? You know, can you hit critical mass with one entity? And it seemed like you could, and if so, what are you doing to partner with them? And developers are a lot easier to bring to you if you've got means to pay them. So you haven't talked a lot about your how you're going to get resources to pay
Yeah.
folks.
So I'd be willing to pay a developer $25 an hour. And with regards to getting that exponential growth, not thought through much. It's kind of once we get closer to that point, I'll ask people around. But what I have tried is kind of going to big personalities with those followings. They're hesitant to change platforms, to be honest. And so I'm really going at those average sports consumers that maybe don't have that following on Twitter to start with, and they tell their friends. So organically to start, to be completely honest, and then definitely think more technical going forward.
Susan Krause, I'm a product person, so I'm asking some questions about your product. I'm wondering, I think I'm interpreting things that may or may not be there. So when you talk about your feed and having different things in your feed, I'm wondering if you have kind of API to different, like Twitter and Facebook, whether you're scraping stuff and putting it into your own app as content, the legality that I assume is possible, I don't know. And I'm also wondering, you were showing like a user would sign up and they would say, I like this sport, and this sport, or this team. Like I don't like the sport. The only sport I really watch is tennis. Right? So there's no team, there's individual athletes or whatever. But have you thought about in your product roadmap how that actually works? I mean, are you going to have subsets where a person can just go see a tennis feed, or they can just go see the Rockies feed or the CU Buffs feed? How does that actually, what is that roadmap, and how does it possibly drive the stuff that Rick's asking about, because you can start doing a true AC at a time kind of?
There are no APIs, so we aren't connecting to Twitter or Facebook at the moment. We'll definitely leave it open. But right now it's all original content. With the trending feed or having those specific pages for tennis or for a certain team, it's definitely something that we need in our public version. It's something everyone's asked for in the beta. So we'll definitely put that in our, I'll make that in the design for the public version and definitely make that happen. So people can have that larger community than just their friends. So you could have maybe your couple friends that like tennis and then your friends of friends that like tennis instead.
I'm confused about just personal purpose. I mean, you keep talking about your public versus your non-public. You're saying you're going public August 24th, but I heard you say that you have a beta that you're going to completely redesign. Is that 24th?
So have the beta we used those past 4 months that I talked about, we'll reopen that beta in August 24th while that beta is still going, which has none of the trending features, has none of those certain feeds. It's just original content people post in the app. We'll keep that up, and then while that is up, we'll make the public version in the background. And then flip those when we get it.
Hi, Bob Goodman, CEO of Blackbox AI. Is there a data play here? Are there things that you can do not only to capture the data of your participants, but also to capture maybe survey results and maybe sell that as a revenue stream?
That's a good idea. And that's something I need to get better at for that public version. Right now we see daily active users, weekly active users. We aren't seeing the technicals of what pages are going on.
Seems like you're going to be in contact with human beings in this arena. There's a source of data that you can utilize and start selling to other news streams, if you will, on survey results or trends or interests, things like that.
Definitely. Man.
So, I'm Ian, I'm a VC Finance and I'm a lawyer. I'm going to frame my question and feedback in terms of what I got and what maybe questions I have from this pitch. So, I get a sense of what problem and what space you're operating in. I don't have a lot of sense of what the product is and how exactly it works. I sort of have some outlines of it, and then it sort of builds up with what Susan's poking at and asking, how does this thing work? What does it do? The biggest two questions that I'm left with are sort of piggybacking off of Rick. What's your business model And what are the KPIs that are going to tell you that you're succeeding or failing? You know, how many users do you need before this engine starts to turn over? Is that a small number, is that a large number, and how do you plan to get that? But then on the second flip side of that, it's kind of the same question. Who is your customer here? Right? Who's driving this business? Who's throwing the fuel into it that it's going to need to stay around?
Customer answer is 18 to 26 male who's opinionated. You guys are familiar with Barstool Sports. Basically, their market is our market.
Is that your user or is that your customer? So is that the person writing you a check?
Good question.
Where are your revenue streams coming from? The merchandise part, right?
So user would be a customer with merchandise.
Okay.
And then the big leagues would have the big leagues and I think overall big sports companies that are doing apparel or doing anything where their audience is sports would be our customer for advertising.
For advertising? Okay.
And then, like you said, possibly people who need that data.
So what's the number of users that you think you need to attract your customer to your product, right? Because at the end of the day, what you're doing, if those two people are your customer, I'm going to take merchandising off the table because merchandising is merchandising. Okay, great, that makes sense. But on the like the advertising side, and even on the merchandising side, if you're trying to attract big brands to sell through your platform, how big of a watering hole do you need of users before those people will come?
I'd say either 40,000 daily active users or just 100,000 downloads is what I've gotten from people I talk to. That's my initial thought.
And to Rick's point, how long do you think this guy think you did their training plan?
Right when we go public, all of our efforts will be user acquisition.
Okay, so you'll work at it, but do you have a sense of like, what channels are you going to go through? How much money are you going to need to make that happen?
So I think that's, we're kind of, you're hearing from a bunch of really similar things. There are several chicken and egg problems here. So if you have no users and no money, you have to figure a way to make a compelling story that you're going to be able to acquire both. So the suggestion is that you think through how that's going to happen. And my guess is that if you piggyback on, these are very powerful brands you're playing with, CU, Michigan State, Notre Dame, whatever university you want to pick, and then you touch into the pro sports teams, really powerful brands, huge followings. If you're able to get just one of them to do a test with you with their fans, I think you're off to the races. And then the question I have is, once you have the brand, what is the compelling thing that causes somebody, an opinionated young man, to come to it? My observation is people really get excited about controversy, controversial call, controversial game, it should have gone the other way, that type of stuff. Do you have a method for how you're going to seed that content so that people come in and participate? Because expecting somebody else to do that for you might not work.
So is your question, how will we get a daily user, a person like me, or?
How are you going to get a brand, and how are you going to get controversy, a stream of controversial topics that really drive the activity?
Yeah. How we get a brand is think through that more. Definitely put that in the plan. And how we'll get a stream content is us, which is it's a lot of work. We'll post, when there wasn't a day for sports content, we put out there what are your top 5 movies, so people just started ripping takes about their top 5 movies. So basically, we, just like Twitter would do the trending hashtags, we'll put out trending topics for the day that people can post about to entertain themselves and their fall. That makes sense.
I just want to follow on what you said about this.
What were you going to say?
Yeah, hi, I'm Tom. I'm a local entrepreneur. First off, I think the idea is good. And when I say good, I'm not a big social media guy myself, but every football season, alumni from my school, which is not a great football team, San Diego State. And sometimes it doesn't happen until homecoming weekend. A lot of people are descending on San Diego, and the chatter on my stupid text goes nuts. And it absolutely drives me nuts because I can't go like 5 seconds and then there's like 50 people all of a sudden on this chain, and it's just nuts. My phone just blows up, I probably have to turn the thing off. I know there's an appetite for this type of connecting, and I don't even know that it's limited to the young guys. And I actually think in terms of strategy for growth, I really like the idea of college first, because there's that extra level of connection to your alma mater, and it's really easy to kind of get, I think it would be easier to go after a college and market to alumni from a college than it would be to try to track down all the random people that might be a Denver Bronco fan. You know, it's a much more finite set of people, and I think if you had success, like someone maybe mentioned with one college, you could replicate that. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's on Facebook.
That was going to be my comment.
So, you know, gosh, I think that might be a good strategy for.
Thank you.
So, I would like to hear, my name is Mike Carey. I'm a patent lawyer and entrepreneur. I'd like to make one brief comment about, I think that getting users is way more important right now than getting revenue. Just my experience with other social networks, that's my sense, but if anyone else disagrees, then whatever. I'd like to hear why. The second thing is how to get users. People have talked about these important brands, and the brands are going to be a team or a university or something. But my sense is that you don't actually need the buy-in from those brands themselves necessarily. You want people who are interested in CU, for example, to come to your app, and that could create kind of like a threshold number of users to be interesting. But to get those users, you don't necessarily, like having CU certify you is not going to make a 20-year-old guy want to go to your app, right? What's going to go is if they see content relevant to CU. And so I wonder if you've thought about something sort of like the Netflix model, like we're going to create some of our own content somehow. We're going to provide something initially so that if someone goes on here and they're a CU fan or choose a couple brands, maybe the Rockies or whatever, they come on here and immediately there's going to be tons of cool stuff. There's going to be the takes. There's going to be lots of interesting takes on this team, and just hire someone to constantly know everything about a team and put it on Sports Take. That's my thought.
That's cool.
Interviews with the players, all influencers.
Definitely key, but one thing I will say is our focus is on that. So, okay, there's a guy posting a lot about CU, but our focus is on that guy coming in from CU to give him a voice and give him a platform to speak, not come listen to this guy talking about CU that's like hired on. Because we had that where I hired on, or I got help from Mark, and then he started posting his own original content off Sports Take accounts, and then people were like, well, what is this again? Like, am I reading a news article from ESPN? Like, we want people posting takes. So yes, we do. It is good to have those CU people, but we are trying to avoid having those personalities that just post a ton and try to inflate their own ego when we just want that average daily consumer.
What did you learn from that?
Learn from what?
From that experience, you just said, we tried this,
Yeah.
we don't want it.
Yeah.
What did you do?
We learned that nobody posted. Like, when you refresh your feed, you want new stuff. And if you're getting new stuff from Sports Take Tennis saying, this guy won Wimbledon 10 years ago, then you're like, okay, well then I don't need to post a take. We want original content from everyone else.
But what if it was a fresh take? What if it says, this guy actually knows a lot about CU, and he had some kind of inside information that was interesting to me. He went to the spring practice, and he saw this guy outperform this guy. Who knew? You know? And you go to Sports Take, and that's the first place you see that kind of stuff? I would go on. Like, I have a place where I go for that kind of information.
And then, to answer that, we would leave that for that person's personal account. So, John Brain would post about, hey, this player at the camp is doing well, instead of him posting just like CU Sports.
But how are you going to get someone with that personal account on Sports Take?
Yeah, we can look to get those. Look to get those.
That's his point, but you've said now a couple times what you don't want, but did you learn that if you don't post from the CU account, more people post? Or did you not learn that? Like, what did you learn? Like, I guess that's what you like and don't like, but what did you learn and what you think you can do next to get what you want?
So when we post scores and news and just give people information like in the cheapest way possible, one line, it was one line. LeBron James went to the Los Angeles Lakers. Then people blew up. So we would want a CU account where someone says, blank McIntyre got re-signed, and then people will blow up. So we want the bare bones of the news for people to post.
And that's a good answer.
Yeah.
And that's a much better answer than what you gave. And that answer should be in your pitch. Because that's really interesting. You know, like, and you have to keep in mind, and this maybe is feedback too, but you've got to have an ask in your pitch, right? You can't just, like, if somebody showed up for coffee with me and just spent 20 minutes telling you about themselves, and it was like, great, thanks. Like, what the fuck? Like, why did I just have coffee? What do you want from me? Like, give people an ask, because that will help people orient. Like, you're getting a lot of comments sort of in the normal vein of how we do things, but I get the sense that it's not exactly what you're after. So tell us what you're after to start with. But in that pitch, as you're trying to solicit what you're after, like that's a really interesting bit of information that, hey, sports talk is broken. It's hard for people to communicate about this. We're back to texting, problem. We tried doing this, and we found that if you seed the conversation with a short, no more than 1 to 2 lines, no more than 15 words, we found, like whatever the data is, we found that the reaction is a 30-fold increase in conversation. That one post produces 30 reaction. We want to tap into that. Now everyone in the room kind of gets a draft, and they understand how you're approaching it, they understand what you've learned about it.
Thank you.
And they can move forward. So use that information to open your pitch. Don't make people drag it out.
Yeah, I know, I already gave you.
No, you're good.
I'm not your user, but this is interesting to me. I had two thoughts off of, is it Mike?
Yeah.
So I think there's a deregulation around sports betting that's happening, right?
Yeah.
So what Mike just said, actually, maybe there is an option, even if that hasn't been in the past something that's worked in beta, it might be an interesting thing to think about. Insider information that would bring people on who want to have the insider information because they're starting to bet online around sports. I don't know all the specifics, but you could take my shitty idea and like roll with it.
I like it.
And two, it's gonna sound weird and it might be a bad idea, but I wonder, like, if you did go in the model of like focusing in on college sports teams, which makes sense to me, like, could you infiltrate CU Boulder, you pick 2 or 3 others once a month, where you like flyer the hell out of that campus, out of frats, out of where your maybe bars, about your team, or I mean about your app, and use that as a way to engage new users. Because like I feel like there's something around bringing awareness, and then your users will sign on because they're going to think it's interesting, because it is an interesting concept.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm totally agreeing with what people are telling you. I think you're launching the 24th of August. You get a bunch of students to stand around with your logo and your URL or whatever it is, as people are coming into the CU football game for CSU and CU, and build your user base like that, and really look closely at Facebook's model, how they did it, how they expanded, how they decided to go from one school to multiple schools. Pare down your vision a little bit to that so that you can get launched. Because if you try to do, as Mike said, NFL and everything else, it's like trying to fight a whole elephant, as they say, right? So one bite at a time, go one bite at a time. You know, and that's a really good way for you to beta test too. Let's just hopefully have the server to support it. So if you get enough people out there to sign up, you're ready to sign up. Think about your logo a little bit. It doesn't say sports to me. You might want to consider how to make that either add the word sports take on, which but make it really obvious that you're a new thing in town. Go to Sticker Giant, order thousands of stickers. You know, it's working, and those guys are going from 6 million to 16 million in 3 years in business growth. It's time. So people like them, apparently, and are buying them and using them.
And then I have voice memory on this one, I'm taking notes.
There's also a survey board.
Thank you.
So everybody likes a fight. Fires up. You say
More than some.
Yeah. You know, there are always teams that you love to hate. So I grew up Boston Red Sox fan. If somebody walks by me with a New York Yankees hat on, it's a visceral reaction. I went to Duke. You know, a UNC, University of North Carolina sweatshirt just makes me see red. So that fires the things that I get involved with in social media, and the ones that are the most interesting. When Duke's going to play Carolina, or I paid tuitions for my kids to CU and CSU, so I see that, you know, inside the family. But when those things are happening, boy, it spikes talk about your platform and how, you know, you can allow those, instead of being in your CU bubble, you know, is there a bubble for CU, CSU? Because every year when that game comes up, there's a lot of trash talk.
Yeah. Big thing we want to add in so we're launching like this in the beta August 24th. The goal is to launch the public version for December this year. And in that public version, one of the first things you'll be able to do to make your profile is add your leagues and teams. And in there, you'll be able to see who likes what teams. But for an example of how it'll spark conversation for yourself is you have a following, so it's the same thing as Twitter. It's literally copying Twitter. And so you post and then people can comment, same thing. But when you're posting, you may have friends from rivals from UNC and Duke, and then you post something very controversial, then they'll come at it in the comment thread together, which is a beautiful thing to see. I don't know if that answered any of the questions.
So why not just create some rival feed so
Right.
you know what
Gotcha.
rivalries are? So you've got
Is your argument on
Stanford and Berkeley or something, and you know you create the feed that is the rival connection, so then everybody jumps in on that.
So if you see the content that's controversial about the upcoming rivalry, and then it's visible to both sides, boom, you know. Because otherwise, I'm not sure it naturally happens as fast as you'd like it to.
Well, maybe not leagues, but divisions. Like if you start as college, so you want to go college teams, focus on division next, you know, keep going in that direction. And you all the teams in one division, you get a lot of controversy right there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's an event-driven part of this that might get really interesting. If your engine was able to know that there's an event, and as soon as that event goes, it goes to the rivalry, you know, that it could get really interesting.
In your vision, because what I'm hearing from you is that you don't want all the conversation to be instigated by that event, or by a post or something like that you kind of generate. You want people to organically go there when they have a thought, they can go in there, then they can type their thought, and then people can react to that and have an exchange. So some of the content is going to be created by, I just put out a one-liner and whatever. So, I mean, it goes back to those influencers and kind of having that going in tandem when you think. So you have, every now and again, you throw out that one-liner that instigates like this big influx of activity, but then you have your social circle. Like I always use LinkedIn and have my power partners, and they go in and they comment on stuff and whatever, and we just kind of feed off one another, like each other's stuff, whatever. So if you have the power influencers within those, you know, different respective communities, and you're generating that, now you've got this whole powerful kind of influx of content. Some of it's organic, coming from the individual users, and you're also instigating some comments, and now you're getting it from all angles. Because I just kind of keep going back to your vision of, I don't want to be generating all the conversation. I want people to just go in there after they have a thought and be like, hey, I just attended this game, I saw this like controversial thing happen, or I saw this play, or whatever, and I just want to kind of put it out there for everybody to react to. Is that right? Yep. Okay.
So one thing in your description of what you had tried that that triggered maybe a sense of being off was you said that Sports Take Tennis would post this and it wouldn't work. And I'm thinking, well, why is Sports Take Tennis? That's not a person. I want like a personality. And so one question is, do you personally use the platform? And do you have people that, you've got some users, do you have the personalities? Because to me, like, Sports Takes Tennis is not a personality. Like, I can see why people wouldn't care what Sports Takes Tennis does, but you need some personalities on there. And if you don't have, like, real strong personalities on there yet, you might have to be one, or you might have to find one.
Yeah, I currently have 750 takes, so that's a little much, but yeah, I use it a ton. Just needs to kind of calm down to let people use it. And then yeah, we have personalities from basically my peer group. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Skip Bayless, guy on ESPN and runs Fox Sports, super opinionated. Sports Take has its own Skip Bayless, friend from my club team, just loves to piss everyone off. So yeah, it's fun to see people grow their own personalities in there, and that's what it's for. And that's why I'll have to stray off at some time once we get more people. I was in a fraternity. Whole fraternity is yet to jump in, but once they jump in, that'll be a whole other group of personalities that ever come around.
Yeah, that's key too. Maybe talk about that fraternity road. Like, hey, these are the channels that are going to get users, because that's really critical. Is what are your channels? And if you have a fraternity, that's one of the things that I need to hear from your pitch. Is people like hearing more things like that, because your big challenge is channels for getting users.
So one thing to think about is one tweet by a top sports personality about a controversial thing on your network would make you explode. So you may want to make that happen, right? I think that's
find a way to create some controversy.
They don't have to be on all the time. It's just there's so many people that follow like LeBron James. If LeBron James tweeted something about, hey, these guys over here have got something, about this last game that I really disagree with, or something like that. I mean, it doesn't even have to be bad.
Just one more question about your business model on the merchandising. So I assume merchandising, I don't know, but is the merchandise of team logo stuff, and how far have you looked into the licensing or reselling of those products, or talked to figure out how hard it is for you to get that ability to resell those products, and what percent you will get in revenue from reselling?
Yeah, that was not specific. Sports Take merchandise would be Sports Take branded merchandise, not actual NFL and NBA teams. So instead of wearing a Broncos jersey to a Broncos game, you wear a Sports Take jersey with your name on the back. People add you on there, but like with Broncos colors. That makes sense. So it's dedicated to the player. It's just
Have you written a
first
business
and post takes.
on the business model that you talked about, revenue from merchandise and then subscription? There's one of the things there, the subscription revenue.
It's
Advertising. Have you written yet a business plan that shows the revenue growth of those three things when they come into play, how much revenue you expect to get from those things, when you break even? I mean, have you started to explore those things that break even?
I've not explored numbers too much, honestly. Just definitely want to set our team and then
So the last part about merchandising, that's a big thing. Which sort of makes me just ask this question: is this a clothing company or is this a social media company? Which one, if you took it away, would collapse the whole thing? Which is the one that's going to make your business or break your business?
social media company. It's a social media company. But Twitter broke even a year ago, and they did advertisements. So we're looking at every revenue stream possible, and I see merchandise as being a massive revenue stream.
So you're trying to do what you're trying to avoid what Twitter did, because they're billionaires, right?
Well, exactly.
They're a $1 billion company. Yeah. No, Yeah, Twitter's great, but I want to break even before, I don't want to break even in 15 years.
So here's the challenge that I think you need to address. And here's the things that you need to think through. In essence, by doing that, so like there is, it sounds good to say we're going to chase multiple revenue streams. And if I were to say like, hey, my business can have multiple revenue streams, we're going to build computers, we're going to make socks, and we're going to do airline travel. Like, wait, hang on a second. That's not quite revenue streams of 3 lines of business. So a revenue stream versus, so like advertising versus manufacturing and selling branded clothing, that's not really revenue streams, that's businesses.
Gotcha.
So I would just think through, are those two businesses compatible? Are they sympathetic, right? Are they going to build off of each other? Or are they going to cannibalize the resources that I have? So if I have, let's say I raise $500,000, and my goal is to build something better than Twitter, am I going to get there faster by building out a brand around clothing and use the social media as a channel to sell it? Or am I going to get there faster by building out a social media platform around advertising and other streams of revenue? And then maybe one day in the future coming out with like Twitter branded.
Gotcha.
So like just think through that. Because those two things I think are going to be in tension. You have to figure out which order they go in because you're going to have a finite number of dollars to allocate.
So you've already talked a little bit about understanding the threshold before advertising is even viable. Advertising is an interesting model because it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 until you hit a threshold. And then people start to pay you to get access to that at a CPM rate, right? And even when it jumps above the threshold, the numbers are really small at the beginning because you're competing with folks that have massive audiences and you gotta have the same reach. So have you, in your presentation, if you want to talk to people who, you have to finance that, right? Up until the point where revenue starts, advertising. So if you're talking to, you didn't talk at all about how you're going to finance that. If you're going to finance it with investors, then you do have to talk a little bit about how your costs scale, when your revenue starts, how, and that tells you how long you need, how much money you need for how long. Have you done any of that work to figure out how that looks, how that really part of your financing side looks?
Financing side is bootstrap until I have to get money, or until I find the right investor, basically. Very slow with how I build this thing. As you can see, we're getting excited. I don't want to mess it up by bringing on the wrong people or making the wrong deal. And okay, so then bootstrap, and then for financing. Yeah, and then when I go get financing, I need to know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing in that game right now, so I'm bootstrapping until I have to know it.
All right. We have one announcement. Next week we have
Boulder New Tech Reboot, August 9th here at Galvanize in Big Room. And I think we're already oversubscribed, but go ahead and subscribe and show up anyway if you haven't signed up. Starts at 5:30. We'll probably have 4 companies, I think, presenting.
What day?
Yeah, Thursday night. So it'll be the second Thursday of the month. Here this month for sure. After that, we may go back to see Boulder, so we have a much bigger venue, so we can have hundreds of people instead of 50s and tens of people.
great. Thank you. Great.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for your. Oh, for more announcements. You bet.
My name is Robert, and lead organizer for Startup Weekend, and our next event is August 10th, 11th, and 12th. We'll be at Black Lab Sports. If you're not familiar with Startup Weekend, you can either talk to me or her, actually. But what's really, really neat is normally it's $100 for the whole entire weekend. It's part of a Techstars. This go around, we're partnered with Google. Which is pretty rad. Tickets are free, so we're really trying to hit everybody, CU, CSU. It's all over social media, Startup Digest, but it's a really neat opportunity to see ideas come to fruition. Some big companies like Rover have come from Startup Weekend, so just want to make that announcement. It's open to anybody. Grandparents are allowed to if you want to bring them. But
Super. Any other announcements? All right, well, thank you all for your great feedback, and anyone, make sure everyone's on the meetup page and sign up for these.